Hello, everyone. We are taking up the next topic in the alternative distribution theory. So, first, we have already taken up the Ricardo's theory, which is also known as the classical theory. Second, we will take the Kaldor's theory of income distribution, and this is also known as the Keynesian theory. The Keynesian theory. Now, we can understand why there is again the second name to this and what are the similar properties that we can see. So Keynes, they talked about firstly the important role of government. So that is a part of the Kaldor's theory of income distribution also. Second, it included a long-term perspective, although Kaldor is not so much emphasizing upon the long run, but we can see some amount of that is present in the Kaldor's theory also. So that's there. And the most important part is that savings equal to investment. This is the equilibrium as stated by Keynes also. And in Kaldor's theory, savings play very, very important role in determining what is going to be the share of wages and the profits out of the total income. Or we can also say the role of aggregate demand is also a part of the Kaldor's theory. So this is also another equilibrium condition. Now, moving on to the assumptions which are assumed by the Kaldor. So, Kaldor, he firstly stated that the economy is operating under full employment conditions. Second, he stated that marginal propensity to save plays the most central and it is at the core of this entire theory and it's working. So marginal propensity to save of the two sectors, the wages which are earned by the laborers and the profits which is earned by the capitalist, so that remains constant, there are no changes. Thirdly, it stated that marginal propensity to save of the workers is less than the marginal propensity to save of the capitalist class. So we write P here. So this is one single assumption that they have taken, maybe because of we can say the more amount or the larger share of income which already exists, and it somewhere also indicates the inequality which exists in reality, also the income inequality or the wealth inequality that we can say. Fourth most important assumption is that investment is assumed to be exogenous in this model. So starting with what he postulated or what the theory stated. So in short, we can just say that Kaldor, he said that the ratio of profits out of the total income is dependent upon, or it is, we can say, directly related to the ratio of investment out of total income. It means if there is more amount of investment being done in the economy, for example, by the capitalist classes, then there would be more profits. More profits would again lead to, we can say, capital accumulation and more reinvestments, which will drive the economic growth. So this is the fundamental basis on which the theory is based upon. Now, it states that the stability of the model is dependent upon this thing, that the tendency to save off the from the profits by the capitalist class should always be greater than this by the workers class. So this is also one of the factors which decides the stability of this model. Now, suppose we see that what happens when the investments in the economy, if that is increasing. So what is going to be the chain of effects? So when investment is, for example, it increases in the economy, it will lead to increase in aggregate demand in the economy. Now it leads to increase in prices also. Now looking from the perspective of the producers or the capitalist, for them it is beneficial that prices are increasing in the economy because it will lead to increase in their profits because market prices are increasing. And at the same time, we see another phenomena which is simultaneously working in the economy is that wages, they lag behind the changes in the prices. So prices, if they are increasing, so profits will increase first, and there would be a long time lag in terms of transforming the transformatory changes of that increase in prices on increase in the nominal wages of the workers or the employees of who are working under particular capitalist. So that is why we can say that share of profits increases because of this, we can say, the pragmatic principle or the process that is working in the economy, that wages lag behind the prices. So share of profits, if that increases, so that will happen at the cost of the decline in the share of wages in the economy. So that's how we see the end result would be increase in the share of profits of the capitalist class, and we can say that this will further lead to widening of the inequality also. Now, another aspect that we can tweak and understand what can be the possible impacts would be if suppose investment, let's say, is not exogenous as we assumed, but rather it becomes endogenous. How the stability of this entire system or the theory will get impacted, and what will be the impact on the economic growth. So in this case, if investments, they become endogenous, it means the investments and the profits, they become more intricately linked with each other. So investments and the profits are more linked, because we can say that more investments, more profits. Now more profits would be again reinvested, and that is how it will, the first impact would be this positive feedback loop. Positive feedback loop in case of when profits are increasing because of increase in investment. It would become negative when investments are declining, and that would lead to decline in the share of capitalist class. So this is going to be one of the impacts. Another impact, we can say, economies' external resilience will get hampered. So resilience, in a way, we can say, is diluted to some extent, because investments will also be depending upon some of the external factors which are not again under the control of the, we can say, the national government or the authorities which are there. So this is, we can say that this element reflects the stability element, how that is getting impacted. So this is the thing. And then one subpart that we have taken is this. So three impacts we have seen: how if investments that becomes endogenous, how the further, can say, spillover effects are seen in the economy. Now when we look at the critique of this, first, again, as we say that this is not always true that third assumption will always be true, or it will always be fulfilled in the pragmatic way of how the economy works. Again, not true that investment is going to be in endogenous, or sorry, exogenous, and the marginal propensity to save is the only factor that has been emphasized by the Kaldor, which is determining how the share of total income is distributed between wages and the capitalist class. There are other factors also. For example, human resource will also be one important factor that will determine the share between these two. And then technology also, that is although not eliminated, not held constant, but again at the same time not so much emphasized upon also, that what is going to be the role. So solely we can say it is based upon the savings behavior in the economy of two classes, the workers and the capitalists. So how savings are entirely impacting the share, and that is, we can say, the main thing. And if we compare this with the Ricardo's theory, so Ricardo focused more upon the demand side factor, How, for example, demand of land, if that is increasing, it is leading to increase in the rent. So share of land increase or rent increases, and the share of wages, nominal wages, will increase, because he always assumed that wages share will always be at the subsistence level. And if the share of rent increases, so share of profits will decline. So this is majorly based upon two factors that we have analyzed before, that is the Malthushian theory of population and the law of diminishing returns. So this was the core idea of Ricardo. So with this, we complete one of the second theory is regarding the alternative distribution model. And one real life example also, if we take based on this. So for example, recently we have seen that the share of profits of, say, corporate sector in India has increased, but at the same time we have seen that data is showing that wages has not increased. It has not increased. So this is somewhere indicating what we just saw under the Kaldor's theory, that if share of profits have increased, it means the share of wages, it is at the cost of decline in the share of wages. So this is one direct impact that we are seeing also in real life. But again, this is one very specific factor and is not universally applicable across all the sectors, we can say. Now moving on to the third theory, which is the Kalecki's theory of, again, income distribution. This is the third one. And this is also known as, or it is based on the degree of monopoly. Degree of monopoly power which exists in the economy, that is majorly determining how income is again distributed amongst two factor incomes, same wages and the profits, how they will be distributed. So this is one of the similarities between Kaldor and the Kalecki's theory. Now coming to assumptions. So one, he assumed that economy is working at less than the full capacity of the economy. So there is certain amount of, we can say, idle capacity which exists, that is being factored in. And second, it states that the average cost is equal to the marginal cost of, say, the laborers, hiring of laborers, or even the raw material. So their average cost and marginal cost is assumed to be equal. Coming to what the theory states, so the theory is completely based upon the degree of monopoly power. So how this degree of monopoly power is measured by this theory? One of the mechanism is using the learner's theory, or we can say the learner's measure of degree of monopoly. And Lerner has used this at the macro level. Kalecki is for the micro level. So he has used this macro level measure at micro level. So this is one of the critiques also. So let's understand the formula. So this is mu represents the degree of monopoly is equal to the prices in the economy minus the marginal cost divided by the prices. Now here we can say that as the degree of monopoly, this increases, share of profits will increase. So this goes up again at the cost of the decline in the share of wages. Now, because this measure, it faced criticism because of the same reason here. So there is one more way through which Kalecki, he stated how the share of wages and profits can be determined without using the learner's degree of monopoly. So here he stated we can use the formula of, for example, here we have the average prices in the economy divided by the average cost of production. So this is one of the formulas. This is again micro level. If we have to calculate it for the entire economy, this will turn out to be the total gross capitalists income that they have divided by their total turnover, or we can also write it as the aggregate turnover. Now, when the share of total gross capitalist income is out of their aggregate turnover is more, so it means they are having higher degree of monopoly. So they have in a way more controlling power, we can say, and that's how the share of their income, which is or their returns, which is the profits, is increased. So the reverse is also true. When the share of the profits is less, the share of wages would be higher. So it is happening between only these two factors. And again, that becomes one of the critique, that what about the share of rent and the other factor, which is the rate of interest. What about these two? So this is one of the critiques. And again, this is completely or only based upon the learner's measure, or we can say directly, indirectly, the degree of monopoly is the main factor here. What about other factors, which is again the technology, role of government in terms of determining the share? So multiple other factors are also there. The external factors. So everything is working simultaneously. So this is another, we can say, the critique which is not a part of it. So we have completed with the three theories, and we can just write that Ricardo focused on demand, two things, population and the diminishing returns. Then we have Kaldor and Kalecki. This is Keynesian also. Keynes. Ricardo is classical. This is on the savings behavior in the economy. This is on the degree of monopoly. So we can compare these three together. So we have finished with these theories.
जी।
हाँ जी सर।
डन।
हाँ जी सर। हाँ
ठीक है। फ्लो के साथ हो
सर,
रहा है, दो दो
रिकॉर्डिंग,
पर।
हाँ रिकॉर्डिंग कर दो, स्टॉप।
आप रिकॉर्डिंग में मुझे दिखाई क्यों नहीं दे रहा?